She was a single mother who'd found the man of her dreams.
She really loved him.
Will you marry me?
He's supportive of the children.
She finally felt like she found her soulmate.
But there would be no happily ever after.
There's blood everywhere. There's blood on the carpet. There's blood on the wall. There's blood everywhere.
She was shot 3 times.
Losing such a good person so unexpectedly, just an awful experience.
It's a pain that I can't put into words.
The investigation will uncover a mysterious stalker.
She said she was dead.
Odd stuff was happening.
Somebody is chasing her, like following her.
It was terrifying.
He was obsessed with her.
He had photos of her.
But it's his identity that's the real shock.
Why didn't you tell us?
He didn't want to get her in trouble.
It just spiraled out of control.
And all of a sudden, her life was just taken from us.
No. September 16th, 2018. It's late Sunday night in Jacksonville, Florida, a city that's one of America's foremost military towns.
One of the largest naval air stations in the United States is located here in Jacksonville.
There are about 75,000 uniformed personnel and civilian military employees in the Jacksonville area.
Because military folks are always on the move to different duty stations and they get promoted and transferred, there's a lot of turnover.
But some service members do put down roots. Just after midnight, Duval County 911 receives a frantic call from the normally quiet suburban home of Chief Petty Officer Andrea Washington.
911, look, we need somebody here immediately.
The caller is Marvin Jefferson.
He says that he and Andrea's fiance, Danny Beard, had just walked in and found her lying on the floor.
There's blood everywhere. There's blood on the carpet. There's blood on the wall. There's blood everywhere.
And according to Marvin, there's nothing they can do for Andrea.
She seems to be on the floor dead.
A chief petty officer in the U.S. Navy, leadership came naturally to Andrea Washington.
She was the mother of 3 boys.
She always wanted a girl because me and my other best friend, Tamara, we both had girls. But she needed boys because she was tough.
Raising her sons as a single mom meant she was driven, too.
She would make sure that those boys would get the best of everything, whatever they wanted, whatever they needed.
She loved her boys. And just like any parent, they want the best for their kids, and that's just who she was.
Her boys was her world. It was always me and the boys, me and the boys. I got to do this for the boys. So that was her life, her 3 boys.
And the desire to give her boys the best life possible led Andrea to enlist in the Navy.
I think what drew her to the Navy, we had a cousin that was in the Navy. She was an officer, and I think that inspired her to join and to change her life and to better provide for her children.
Everything she did was to set herself up to where she could have a good life with her boys.
But it wasn't always easy.
Oftentimes, when she was out to sea, she would talk about missing the boys, and it definitely affected her, not being able to be there all the time. She understood that that was something that she had to do, but still, as a mom, it tore her up on the inside to have to be absent from their lives.
Everyone, they can't do what we do. And it's not even that our jobs is difficult, it's just a sacrifice that we have to make on a daily basis. We do have to miss birthdays, games, or graduations.
She sacrificed so much.
That included her personal life.
Her focus always was the boys and her career, and then a relationship would always just kind of come after those things. So she didn't place a lot of emphasis on dating or being in a serious relationship.
But in 2016, with her son's teenagers, Andrea decided to give internet dating a try and matched with a man named Danny Beard.
It's always weird meeting face to face for the first time.
Right. Your profile picture definitely doesn't do you justice.
After that initial date, Andrea really liked him.
She was excited. She said, I met this guy. He's a truck driver. He has his own business. He's on the road a lot. He understands the whole military lifestyle and he's supportive of it.
She introduced him to myself and some other friends, and we all started to hang out together.
To Andrea's friends, it was obvious the couple was a great match.
He was just a great guy. He showed a lot of care and affection for Andrea. He was really good with the boys. She was able to rely on him keeping the boys while she was out at sea. He would make sure the boys was clean, they were fed, they got to school on time. He would make sure they did their homework. And that was the one thing she was searching for in a partner. Not only somebody that loved her, but somebody that also loved her boys.
1 year into the relationship, Danny proposed.
He gave her a ring, and I know she was very happy and excited.
She was ready to get married. Family was very important to her. So to have a whole family and be able to raise her boys with someone that can step in as that second parent, that was part of the excitement for her.
We were really very happy for her.
I couldn't think of a person more deserving to have a happy ending than her.
And before they exchanged vows, Andrea hit another well-deserved milestone. In September of 2018, she was promoted to Chief Petty Officer.
Chief Petty Officer is one of the higher enlisted ranks in the Navy, very difficult to obtain, very competitive. So it was a crowning professional achievement in her naval career.
In a male-dominant profession, to rank up in that manner lets me know that she was not only passionate and ambitious, but she was respected and revered.
I was able to travel down to Jacksonville and witness her get promoted. It was a great experience. I was proud of her.
But now, just 48 hours after the promotion ceremony, Danny and his friend Marvin have found Andrea on the floor of her Jacksonville home.
There's blood everywhere. There's blood on the carpet. There's blood on the wall. There's blood everywhere.
They think she's been shot.
Can we try to start CPR?
No, look, she's beyond that. She's beyond that. Send someone immediately.
When first responders arrive at the scene, they find Marvin and Andrea's fiancé, Danny Beard, waiting outside.
Danny appeared to be very broken up and distraught.
But in his grief, he gives the police on the scene their first possible clue.
I knew something was gonna happen. Someone's been stalking her.
Newly promoted to Chief Petty Officer, Andrea Washington had it all.
She was a wonderful mom. She's thriving in her career. She has the support of her boyfriend.
She seemed really happy. She was living her best life.
Until it all came to a sudden, shocking end.
Andrea! No!
Her fiancé, Danny Beard, and his friend Marvin Jefferson found her dead in her home.
They found her laying on the floor in a pool of blood.
Send someone, please. We need help. Please.
And when they get there, paramedics confirm that she is dead.
When homicide detectives arrive on the scene, they speak briefly with Danny and Marvin outside the house.
So you think someone was stalking her?
Look, that's what she said.
That afternoon, Danny Beard was texting her.
And according to Danny, everything was fine.
The kids were staying with family, so Andrea had been hanging out with her friends.
But then, a little after 9 p.m., he'd received another text.
Andrea told him that someone was following her.
I tried calling her, but she wouldn't answer.
That's when he became very concerned that something might have happened to her.
It was also when he decided to go check on Andrea.
He went to his friend Marvin's house first to see if he would come over with him.
To see what happens, just in case.
He felt like he couldn't go over there alone.
But now he wonders if he had made the right choice.
I should have got here sooner.
While uniformed officers transport Danny and Marvin to the station for formal statements, detectives conduct a walkthrough of the crime scene.
The crime scene itself was in good condition. Her home was well kept.
But in the kitchen, detectives found clear evidence of a struggle.
Where the kitchen enters into the master bedroom, there was a broken wine bottle, scattered glass throughout the floor.
Andrea's body is only a few feet away.
Andrea Washington was found in the threshold of her bedroom.
She's been shot multiple times, including at least once in the head.
At the scene, there were 3 live rounds, as well as 3 shell casings.
The empty casings and live rounds are all .25 caliber.
With smaller calibers, sometimes the ammunition may be a little bit less reliable, so the round may not fire, and you can cycle the weapon and it ejects the live round, so it may have been a misfire.
Then, looking around the room, detectives quickly realize something is missing.
Andrea's phone is not anywhere in the house, indicating that the killer must have taken it with them.
One of the first things that investigators look for is a victim's cell phone, because that contains a whole lot of clues.
They aren't without any clues, however.
There was a ball cap sitting on the couch, and that seemed to be out of place.
They thought the killer had likely left the baseball cap.
Despite that, there are also signs that Andrea's killer tried to cover their tracks.
She had an ADT home security system.
But somebody had removed a lot of the components of that system.
All of the security cameras and equipment was gone.
That told investigators that it was somebody that knew about the security system.
After completing their walkthrough of the crime scene, the detectives conduct a brief canvass of the surrounding homes.
But none of the neighbors reported hearing or seeing anything unusual that night.
We had no eyewitnesses. We had no neighbors reporting a fleeing suspect. They didn't hear any arguing that night. They didn't hear anything along those lines. So we really had a case where all we really had was what we had at that house.
Hoping Danny and his friend Marvin can help fill in the blanks, the detectives head to the station to take their statements.
Detectives sit down with Marvin first, since he made the initial 911 call.
They started by asking how he knew Andrea and Danny.
Well, I met Danny through Andrea, so it's only been over a year, but probably less than 2.
Gotcha. How did you know Andrea?
We worked together on the ship.
Like Andrea, Marvin was also in the Navy.
Next, the questions turn to Andrea and Danny's relationship.
Are they good? They're not good?
Marvin said that relationship between Danny and Andrea was rocky.
There was constant ups and downs, challenges.
I done played the middleman in their relationship the whole time.
And according to Marvin, Andrea and Danny had recently split up.
I suggested it. Because they arguing so much, I just need to give up on each other. Leave it alone.
They stopped seeing each other shortly before she was discovered deceased.
Well, it was Danny just without us. She wanted him out.
But it was why Andrea really wanted Danny out that raised the red flags for detectives.
She had been telling me that he abused her.
Andrea Washington's friend, Marvin Jefferson, has revealed to the detectives investigating her murder that Andrea and her fiancé, Danny Beard, had recently broken up.
Andrea told him that she had asked Danny to move out.
This was just recently, like almost a little over a week ago.
Andrea had alleged that Danny had physically abused her.
He pushed her down and kicked in the stomach. And things of that nature.
But Marvin says he didn't entirely believe Andrea's story.
I called him out on that, and did he do it? And he said no.
He also said that there was something about Andrea's story that just didn't quite add up.
You got beat you all night. Why you spend the night with him and then wait till the next morning to go to the emergency room? I still see him to the emergency room.
Marvin also says he never witnessed any signs of abuse between the couple.
I've never seen any bruises, you know? So I don't know. I mean, I've never seen him, you know?
Marvin says he's not sure who to believe.
There was something going on, but neither one was giving a full story.
However, Marvin does know that Andrea had recently filed a restraining order against Danny.
There was a court date scheduled for the day after she was murdered.
According to Marvin, that's why Danny came by his place prior to checking on Andrea.
You know he couldn't go by himself, but he got a restraining order on him, and they supposed to go to court.
When the questions turned to the night of the murder, Marvin says Danny had spent most of the day at his house.
They'd watched some football together earlier in the day.
Football was watching the Jets and the Dolphins.
Then Danny left to go have dinner with family that evening.
But he says Danny had returned a few hours later.
He said, I need you to go to Andrea's with. He said, because I think something wrong.
What do you mean?
He showed Marvin the text that Andrea had sent him.
She said she was scared. He said, somebody followed her. Had been following her all day or something. And he told her to call the police.
Did she call the police?
I don't know, man.
He called her back, and she wasn't picking up. And he said it's not like her to not answer the phone whenever you call her.
Marvin says he'd agreed to go over to Andrea's with Danny.
He goes to the door. He rings the doorbell. Nothing happens, so he's knocking on the door. Boom, 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 boom. Andrea, call her Andrea.
Andrea!
Still no answer, so he reached down and turns the door, and the door opens.
Front door?
Front door, it opens, yeah.
Andrea!
As soon as he turned on the lights, he saw her laying on the floor, covered in blood.
He saw it, and the shock, he turned around, he's like, oh, no, I failed. And she was laying on the floor.
After talking to Marvin, the detectives head next door to speak with Danny.
He started by admitting he and Andrea had recently broken up.
Danny told the investigators that their relationship was going really well until he lost his job.
He started going downhill.
And he admits that things only got rockier from there.
She had a restraining order put out on me.
He acknowledged he had the temporary injunction.
Was it just hands, or was there any kind of any other allegation? Did you threaten her or anything like that?
Yeah, she told him I threatened him. I threatened her. I did this. I did that.
But he denied doing any of it.
He also says that Andrea paid little mind to the restraining order.
You guys still continue to talk?
Danny had said even after the restraining order was issued, Andrea would often come over to his house.
I guess he didn't think the restraining order was for her, too.
Right.
When the questions turned to that day, Danny's story mirrors Marvin's.
Like Marvin had already told them, Danny said the two of them had watched football that afternoon. He had been chatting with Andrea on and off via text message, and then he spent some time with his mom and sisters that evening.
While he was there, he'd gotten another text from Andrea. This time about their pending court date.
She told me, well, I'm sorry about everything. I know you didn't push me. I know you didn't do this. I know you didn't do that. She said, I'm still in love with you. She said, I just wanted you out of the house. That's why she did all this stuff.
Danny was under the impression that Andrea was going to go to court with him and actually pushed to have the restraining order lifted.
But according to Danny, at around 9 that night, the tenor of Andrea's texts had suddenly changed.
She said, Danny, please help.
Andrea had told him that she was scared.
Like, what's wrong? She's like, yo, somebody is like chasing, like following her. Somebody named T.
According to Andrea Washington's former fiancé, Danny Beard, she'd reached out to him shortly before her murder with some terrifying news.
Danny said he had received a text from Andrea that there was a guy named T who was following her.
Do you know who T is?
I don't know who he is. So she texted me, she's like, I need your help. I'm telling her I cannot come over there.
With the restraining order in place, he couldn't go to Andrea's house alone.
I can come to her house if someone is with me.
Which is why he had gone to Marvin's first before heading to Andrea's.
I showed him this. I said, I need to go to Huntsville to see what's wrong.
From Marvin's, they'd rushed over to Andrea's.
When you got there, did you go right in, or what was your...
The door was open.
Okay.
Which wasn't quite what Marvin told the detectives.
When you say it's open, was it unlocked or was it ajar?
Oh, it's unlocked. Andrea don't never leave the door unlocked. Andrea!
But by the time they got there, it was too late.
No! I don't know what happened to her. I don't know if she... I don't know if I could or what.
Don't touch him, man. Don't touch him.
Marvin was cautioned, hey, be careful, don't move anything.
Before she told me not to touch that, I always got over her. Hold her.
Danny said when he saw her, he immediately went over and wrapped her up in his arms.
At the end of the interview, Danny lets the detectives look over his phone.
I appreciate that because that helped.
Who did this?
Danny also suggests that the detectives talk to Andrea's friend, Delana Rhodes.
According to Danny, Andrea had spent the afternoon before the murder with Delana.
They said they went to Boston's restaurant.
He thought that Lena might know a little bit more about this guy named T, who supposedly was following Andrea.
After talking to Danny, the detectives contact Andrea's friend, Delana, who is also a veteran of the armed forces.
I was a cop in the Air Force, and I didn't know a lot of Navy military members until Andrea came into my life.
When Delana comes in for an interview, she confirms that she'd been hanging out with Andrea on the afternoon of the murder.
She and I had talked the day before about hanging out that day, and I kept my word. I had a very busy job at that time, and sometimes I wouldn't be able to follow through and come when I said I was. But that particular day, something just told me, D, make sure you go and spend the time with Andrea.
The women ran a couple of errands, did some shopping.
They had dinner, they had a beer or two.
We went to a restaurant, and she was a Texas Houston's fan, so we went to watch the football game. And while we were watching the football game, you know, she and I shared girl talk, you know, about different things.
What kind of things?
Well, mostly Danny.
She had court the next day. We kind of talked about that.
Then, at around 7 o'clock, she'd driven Andrea home.
Walked her up to the door, and we kind of hugged each other, saying, hey, I love you. Good luck at court tomorrow. That was the last time I heard from Andrea.
She didn't say anything about someone following her?
No, why would she?
Danny had said that she had texted him about it.
He's lying.
Elena said there was definitely no indication that anybody was following her.
If someone had been following Andrea, Delana says she wouldn't call Danny for help.
Andrea knew I was law enforcement my whole military career. She was scared. I was 10 minutes away from her. I literally lived 10 minutes away. She would have called me.
But she would have called Danny?
No way.
Whatever had happened, he was connected to it. I didn't know at that time if he had did it or if he had had someone else to do it, but I knew he was connected.
No.
Andrea Washington's friend, Delana Rhodes, has told detectives she's certain Andrea's former fiancé, Danny Beard, was behind the shooting that killed the 37-year-old chief petty officer.
He had murdered her. No one else would have had a reason to do anything to hurt Andrea.
She also says that the only person harassing Andrea that day was Danny.
The friend told us when we were at the bar, Danny Beard was texting her, asking to get back with her.
Asking, you know, where she at, what she doing, those type of things.
Despite her stance that she wanted to be left alone, he wouldn't take no for an answer.
But did he threaten her at all?
Not that she said. She was just annoyed more than anything else.
And by the time she dropped Andrea off, she was over it.
Delana goes on to explain how Andrea and Danny's relationship had come unraveled.
She started to realize he was telling lies about some things, like his job, the type of money he was making on his jobs. And I think once she started to realize that he was not being honest with her, she started to have some feelings of, is this the right person?
Delana also said, at around about that same time, strange things started to happen.
One night, somebody had left a threatening note at the door saying that they were going to do something violent to them.
And soon after that, someone had broken into the house and ransacked it.
Andrea didn't understand why someone would be doing those things.
In fact, Delana says Andrea became so concerned that she hired a private investigator.
They dusted for fingerprints, didn't find any other fingerprints outside of her kids and Danny.
According to Delana, that's when Andrea started to suspect Danny.
Things just started to add up that something isn't right.
Nonetheless, Delana says it wasn't a deal breaker for Andrea.
Andrea wanted to continue a relationship with him. She had never been married before, and she wanted to be married.
But one night, that had all changed.
Andrea called me and told me he had been violent toward her.
He had pushed her and kicked her in the stomach, threatened to kill her.
I was like, Andrea, any man that kicks you doesn't love you. And that's when she started to realize that, yeah, this isn't love.
She'd taken out the restraining order soon after the incident.
She decided, like, I can't go any further with this person because I can't not only have this around me, I can't have this around my boys.
Based on what Delana tells them, the detectives now suspect Danny fabricated the whole story about the stalker.
She created skepticism about the text message exchange.
If he took Andrea's phone, he could have sent those texts to himself.
The breakup and the restraining order certainly gave him a motive.
He was served with an injunction on September 12th of 2018. This murder occurred in the evening hours of September 16th of 2018, one night prior to when the final injunction hearing was to take place.
No. Domestic violence is about control and asserting dominance. And so with Andrea going forth and filing that restraining order, she was taking her power back.
With suspicion mounting that Danny could be the killer, the detectives get a warrant to search the home where he'd been staying since the breakup.
Upon getting to Danny's home, they see this phone there and they are like, maybe this is Andrea's phone.
But when they did delve into the contents of that cell phone, they found that it wasn't.
It appears to be Danny's. He must have had two phones.
Once we got into that phone, that led to tremendous evidence pointed directly at Danny Beard.
They found some really disturbing text messages.
Looking at the text, it was clear Miss Washington had developed this great fear of him.
And based on what else they find inside Danny's home, the detectives suspect she may have been right to fear him.
They find a box of 25 caliber bullets, the exact same caliber and type of bullet that was used in the homicide.
The caliber of the projectiles, the markings on the projectiles matched identical to what lay next to her body.
However, the detectives also find evidence suggesting that Andrea did indeed have a stalker. And his name was Danny Beard.
On his phone, he had an app that gave him access to Andrea's security cameras.
He has more than 900 photos saved from the surveillance cameras.
That told us that Danny Beard was watching her, using it to sort of monitor her, obsessively taking these still photos.
But it's another photo the detectives find that could prove key to solving the case.
They notice a photo of Andrea and Danny together. And in the photo, he's wearing a hat that looks a lot like the cap that was found on Andrea's couch at the crime scene.
But if the hat was Danny's, when had he left it there?
A quick search back through the security camera images saved on Danny's phone provides a possible answer.
All day long, the still shots never showed the cap on the couch.
It only showed up after Andrea's murder.
Detectives investigating the murder of Andrea Washington now have reason to believe her former fiancé, Danny Beard, shot the 37-year-old mother of three inside her Jacksonville, Florida home.
We found in a search of his residence a box of ammo, identical to what lay next to her body.
Additionally, they found a second cell phone at Danny's house.
On the phone, they find evidence to suggest that Danny had left his hat at the crime scene on the night of the murder.
But Danny could have dropped it when he came in with Marvin when he found the body.
Or was it earlier, when he came in and shot Andrea several times?
Detectives don't know, but they suspect Andrea and Danny's friend, Marvin, might.
When detectives bring Marvin in for a second round of questioning, he confirms that Danny had been wearing the hat that day.
During the day when we was watching football, I want to say that he did.
You think that during the day around 2 o'clock he was wearing a black hat?
If memory serves me correctly.
But Marvin further said when he came back later that night to ask for my help, he wasn't wearing the cap.
He definitely did not have a black hat.
No.
That told us it had just fallen off during the murder of Andrea Washington.
However, before they make an arrest, the detectives want to be absolutely sure.
We wanted one more final nail in the coffin, and we did what we called geofence location data.
A geofence warrant allows law enforcement to access information about how various electronic devices connect with the internet within a specifically defined place and time.
Your phone, when you receive a message, sometimes it'll reach out and it'll say, do you want to connect to Wi-Fi in this area? And so we wanted to know, was his phone reaching out and grabbing Miss Washington's Wi-Fi in her home during this text exchange?
When the detectives get the results of the warrant, it leaves little doubt who killed Andrea.
Danny Beard's phone was inside her home between the hours of 8:55 p.m. and the last time it reached out to touch her Wi-Fi was around the 10:40 p.m. hour.
Exactly how he gained entry wasn't clear. Either the door was unlocked or he had a key.
And she was completely unaware when Danny slipped up quietly behind her.
She had a large contusion on her left upper back near her shoulder. Remember that broken wine bottle? It's our contention he must have come up from behind her while she was in her bedroom. That told us that's probably where he hit her. She started to flee out of the bedroom, and he shot her. dropped after the first gunshot.
Then, Danny crossed to where she lay bleeding in the doorway.
Daddy, no.
The gun probably jammed at some point while he was doing this, which would explain the unfired round recovered at the crime scene.
He shot her twice more in the head.
Once Andrea was dead, Danny had carried out the rest of his plan.
He must have killed her and stood there right next to her, using his phone and her phone to text back and forth to make it look like she was summoning him over.
He also concocted this whole story about how there was someone supposedly following her.
It was a very blatant and obvious attempt to cover his tracks.
Before fleeing the scene, Danny also removed Andrea's security cameras.
Then he disposed of the phone before going over to Marvin's house for help.
It was all about establishing an alibi.
The suspect in this case really went to extreme lengths to cover his tracks.
But it was all for nothing. On December 7th, the detectives placed Danny Beard under arrest for murder.
I feel a sense of relief because the truth is finally gonna come out.
That's one of the things that I struggle with. Like, why didn't she tell me? I think maybe there was a part of her that didn't want to burden anyone with this information.
Anything that's going on in her life, she's not the one to be like, hey, this is what's happening. She like to keep everything internal.
The question is, will Danny talk when the detectives sit down with him after his arrest?
I didn't do this.
You did do this, Danny.
No, I didn't.
He was bent on denial and denying that he had involvement in the homicide of Andrea.
But as his trial date approaches, it becomes clear that Danny and his attorneys can see that the odds are stacked against them.
They came to us and said, would the family be interested in a disposition in this case? He'll admit guilt, he'll plead guilty.
The prosecutor saw the advantages in making a deal.
Andrea's family also consents.
They simply wanted the defendant to be held accountable.
In June of 2023, almost 5 years after he killed Andrea, Danny pleads guilty to murder.
He apologized, but it didn't seem genuine.
That was something that he clearly just read and felt obligated to do because he took that plea deal.
He never showed remorse. He had a smirk on his face.
The judge sentences Danny to 30 years in prison.
He was in his early 40s, so after he serves his prison term, if he makes it out of prison, he's going to be an elderly man. And we felt that plea accomplished a lot of goals.
But no punishment can take away the pain of Andrea's loved ones, especially her children's.
It's been tough. They lost their mother at a young age. So I think it was a challenge for them and probably continue to be a challenge as they navigate through life.
I pray that the boys know that their mom loved them more than anything.
In the interim, Andrea's friends and family have done everything they can to preserve her memory, not just for her sons, but for others as well.
It's extremely important to continue to keep her name alive so that this don't happen to somebody else.
I think it's important that her story is shared, primarily because when it comes to domestic violence,
December 27, 2003, Quinn and I are in the office, and we get a call to respond to a person deceased in a house over on Boulder Crest.
This particular part of Atlanta is really interesting because it's on the cusp of another jurisdiction in Atlanta.
Residents in that area, in this particular house, if you were to call 911, you may get Atlanta police or you may get DeKalb County police.
That's how close the line was to this particular house. This time it fell in Atlanta, so on this day, it got me and my partner.
Hey, Jay. What do we got?
The call came in as shots fired.
All right, who called it in?
It was an anonymous call from a payphone.
You know, if someone's calling 911 from a payphone, we're thinking they don't want to be identified. So right now, our suspicions are up.
I waited for backup. We went inside and found a deceased male in the living room.
All right, let's take a look. Thanks.
This is a pretty interesting crime scene. But when we walk in, we don't feel the warmth of a family living here. It looks a little sinister.
Looks like they just moved in.
Well, maybe he lives alone.
We clearly see a black male on his back with dreads, with what appears to be gunshot wounds to the front of his torso.
It looks like he didn't get the call for help.
As we're examining our victim, we also see a cell phone right next to our victim's left hand.
Yo, that's a crucial piece of evidence.
We don't know what was going on. We'll be really interested on who the person was he last spoke to.
Hey, fellas.
What up, Alex?
Hey, Alex.
So the medical examiner arrives on scene.
Yeah, gunshot wounds, pretty recent.
Do you mind if we take a look?
No, go ahead.
We go into his pocket. And in his pocket, we find his ID.
So Wali Muhammad, 25 years old, lived in Decatur, Georgia.
I guess this is not his place.
I mean, that's not really close to this location. What's he doing over here? While it's still the same county, that's a whole nother city.
All right, let me see if there's anything else. He's got something back here. Oh. These are 357s. Christina, can we bag this?
Yes.
Yeah, and did you find a gun?
I did not.
He's got a gun clip to an automatic weapon on his person, but there's no gun anywhere near him or in his pockets.
I got a piece of paper here. Yo, this guy just got out of county.
He's got like a jail receipt where he actually was just in jail like less than 2 days before this particular scene here.
That's terrible luck.
Like, who gets out of jail and gets killed?
We want to look around. We want to see what other evidence we can find.
Ooh, what's up? That's not a 357.
No, it's a 9mm.
Interestingly enough, we find a 9mm handgun basically hidden in the couch.
Drugs in the kitchen.
This is a trap house, no doubt about it. So we got to figure, is our victim a customer or was he a seller?
This is interesting.
What's that?
Got letters here addressed to a Leonard Abbott.
So we find these letters with the name Leonard Abbott inscribed on them. They actually have the address to where we're standing at. This is a clue.
Okay.
So as we venture further into our crime scene, we see 3 .357 caliber shell casings on the floor. And they're on the floor like somebody was in here working with a gun.
All right, so this is where the shooter opened fire from.
357. Now, isn't that the same caliber of bullet that we found in the Vic's pocket?
Yeah. Maybe he got killed with his own gun.
Is this just a coincidence, or is there just more to this story?
Christina, can we bag this?
Yes.
So we searched the entire residence. We do not find a 357 automatic pistol anywhere. So we know that killer took that gun with him.
The only thing missing from this joint is...
his money.
Exactly. So that means somebody hit a drug lip.
I mean, it's a possibility it could have been a customer that turned into a robber and killed the victim who may have been the proprietor.
All right, let's wrap this up.
It's time to expand our vision, so we go into the backyard area. There's this red Chevy Caprice that's, you know, standing out like a stop sign.
Ooh, what's this?
Could be a pretty big clue.
It looks like it's a car somebody's missing or belongs to maybe our victim or whoever else lives here. So we run the tag.
Thanks, man. All right, so the car's registered to a Kwame Cook.
That's a new name.
But we want to know who Kwame Cook is because why is your car in the back of our crime scene?
But if his car's here, then he probably knows something, so...
Hey, detectives. There's someone here that wants to talk to you.
What's up, man? What's your name?
Eugene Strong.
He's actually our 911 caller. He came back to the scene.
That dead guy in there? It's my friend.
All right, let's step over here and talk for a second. Thanks, man. All right, so tell us what happened.
Wally called me this morning.
Eugene Strong goes on to tell us that his friend Wally Muhammad actually asked him to give him a ride over to this Boulder Crest address. He was gonna go inside, pick something up, and they'd be out of there.
Did he say what he was picking up?
No, he just said for me to wait for him outside.
Be right back.
Eugene goes on to say, about 5 minutes later, he hears shouting coming from inside the residence. It drew his attention, like he looked over. Next thing he knows, he hears multiple gunshots going on.
After that, I took off and drove to a payphone and called 911.
We wonder if Eugene is telling the truth.
We have to tune in not just what the witness is saying, but how they're saying it. It was clear as we're looking and listening to Eugene tell us this story.
But I wish I could have done something.
He's visibly shaking, like this victim meant something to Eugene. There's no doubt about that.
The shouting in the house, do you recognize any of the voices?
One was Wally, the other one I don't know, but he had a Jamaican accent.
We're thinking there's two people in there. The argument starts literally minutes after our victim walks in. That person with the Jamaican accent, that's likely our killer.
All right, so the house, it's a trap, right?
Yeah, Wally sold dope there.
He says Wally worked the trap house along with a guy named Country, a guy named Jamaican, which matches up with that accent he heard, and another guy named Ed.
Is there anything else you can add here?
No, that's it.
Come on.
So right now, we got a couple names to go on, one being Leonard Abbott that was found on mail addressed to him to our crime scene.
All right, I got something here. Okay, so it says he's listed as a suspect in an assault.
Okay, who's the vic?
It looks like a girlfriend named Courtney.
He's somebody who puts hands on people. If you put hands on people, it's not far-fetched that you put a gun in your hand and actually shot somebody.
Is there a phone number there for Courtney?
Yeah.
Hello?
This is Vince Velasquez. I'm a homicide detective. I want to talk to you about Leonard Abbott.
We give a call to Courtney, and she's giving us some information.
I don't know anything about a murder.
She lets us know straight up that's not her man anymore. They're estranged.
Okay, so we found a few letters of his in a house over on Boulder Crest.
Yeah, that's where he works.
She says that's a drug house, and her ex-old man, he sells drugs there just like everybody else.
Everyone on the street calls him Country.
We got to think back to when we interviewed Eugene. He gave us a roll call of everybody. He mentioned Country.
All right, thanks a lot.
So we finished the call with Courtney, and next up is Kwame Cook. And we got to remember, Kwame Cook is the person that has a vehicle in the back of this house.
Hey, what's going on, man? Yep, we just need to ask you a few questions. That's it.
He's a little cagey, but he's trying to figure out what we want, but he's cooperative.
I'll see you soon.
He agrees to come in for an interview. The investigation appears to be moving in a positive direction. But the suspect pool is deep.
What happened?
There was trouble at this trap.
We want to talk to you about your boyfriend, the Jamaican.
This was the wildest of goose chases. Hunting for the killer is like chasing a ghost.
There's no records for Nathaniel Payne.
This brother has one fake name after another.
Finally, an unexpected encounter will bring this case to a dramatic close.
Let me see your hands.
This was a life or death situation. It was gonna be me or him.
Yeah, gunshot wounds, pretty recent.
We're working the murder of 25-year-old Wally Muhammad, shot to death in a trap house just inside of Southeast Atlanta.
I don't know anything about a murder.
While searching for folks that frequented the residence,
We just need to ask you a few questions. That's it.
we get in touch with Kwame Cook, whose car was actually found behind our crime scene in the backyard.
He says you'll meet. I don't know. Something weird about that kid.
Yeah? Whatever it is, we're gonna pull out of him, all right? Don't worry.
I'm thinking Kwame is either the killer himself or he knows who the killer is. We're back at the office. Out of nowhere, my phone rings.
Velasquez, how can I help you?
It's an attorney representing Kwame Cook.
My client's willing to speak, but I need to be present for the interview.
This is suspicious. Like, why is Kwame lawyering up right now?
Okay, when can you meet?
Tomorrow afternoon.
Looking forward to it.
Sounds like we got us a hot date.
Can't wait to hear what he has to say.
Kwame's protecting Kwame in this situation. So we're looking at him sideways, but we know we're going to get something.
The next day, we meet with Kwame and his attorney.
Gentlemen.
For the record, my client is cooperating when he doesn't have to.
We understand that.
Let's get started.
Okay, so why was your car at that house?
He was getting work done.
He says he gave that car to a friend of his named 6ix9ine to do some repair work on it.
Do you know this gentleman right here?
He sells dope at that house.
He says he frequents this place, that he's a regular visitor.
Kick it with my cousin.
He identifies his cousin. It is Eduardo Hayes.
He says there's two other guys named Wally and Jamaican that also hang there.
Jamaican, there's that name again. It's the same name we heard our other witness talking about. He heard arguing from inside the house, a person with a Jamaican accent.
Now the Jamaican, you know his real name?
No.
So where were you during the day on December 27th?
Was in College Park.
So you didn't go to a trap house all day that day?
No. I was at my house with a friend.
All right, do me a favor. Let me get his name and number.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, we're done.
Let's go.
Let's see what we can do with that.
We quickly verified Kwame's alibi. At this point, we think he's given us everything he knows. We don't feel him being involved directly or indirectly in this murder.
As we're prepared to contact other people, we get a call from another attorney representing a guy by the name of Eduardo Hayes. He says he's not giving us a statement, but based off the information that we got on hand right now, we feel like the Jamaican is the killer.
You would think this guy would be easy to find, but when we searched our database for the name Jamaican, we came up with 0.
Nice. What do you got?
Victim's phone.
We can go through his call log and see who he was communicating with up and around the time he was killed.
Okay, so a call comes in at 11:37 a.m.
Yo, that's only a few minutes before the 911 call.
Check out the caller.
The number he called was stored in his contacts as Jamaican.
Okay, so we know Wally was talking to him right before the murder, and we have them arguing right before the gunshot.
So this is it. We know for a fact that there is a connection between a Jamaican and we get nothing. It's goose egg.
Okay, so no name associated with this number is on the public record.
Subpoena time.
Yeah, we gotta slow play this one now.
We're not just gonna call the number and, put ourselves on blast. We want to creep in. We want to know more about this person before we just kill our investigation.
I wonder if Waleed's family can help at all.
Hey, it's Vince Velasquez over at APD.
We reached out to the victim's sister just to get some information, not just about our victim, but people that, our victim was associated with. She basically says her brother lost his way, but all in all, he was a good guy. And we've seen that before. Just because you're a drug dealer doesn't make you a bad person.
Thank you. Bye. So she doesn't know anything, but she gave me the number to somebody who might.
Beautiful.
She gave me the number for his girlfriend, Kari. I give her a call. She agrees to sit down and have a conversation with me and my partner.
Thank you for agreeing to meet with us.
Yeah, no problem. I always knew this could happen.
So I'm sure Wally shared with you what was going on in his life.
Just ask.
Did he ever talk about the Jamaican?
Yeah, Wally was on the phone with Country, and they were talking about money missing from the trap.
Country goes on to say he thinks the Jamaican is responsible for the missing money.
When was this call?
2 days before he died. Wally was talking to the Jamaican, and I could tell he was pissed.
The victim is mad about money missing, and they're yelling at each other. I'm thinking, this is it. This is the reason why our victim is dead.
And then later that day, he got into a fight with his other girlfriend.
Kari goes on to say our victim got arrested for like a disorderly conduct charge.
That explains the jail paperwork he had on him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the Jamaican's real name?
No.
We believe at this point that Kari has given us the why in this investigation.
Think of anything else, give us a call. We'll see you.
Yo, Vinny.
Yep.
I got the Jamaican baby.
We finally get subscriber information back on the Jamaican's phone number.
We now have a name, Kenroy Drummond.
Not only do we have a name, we find out Kenroy Drummond has an address in Northwest Atlanta.
Sounds like it's time to bust a move.
Israel.
It's time for a visit.
Tracking down the suspect will be anything but easy.
He's only 14 years old.
Yes.
This has never happened to us before.
Man, got me good, man. Robbed me just like last time.
He was a ghost.
This house and the crime scene tape don't match.
This particular trap house is something I had never seen before.
Looks like they just moved in.
Not only are these guys like straight up businessmen with how they get down with their drug trade, they got lawyers on speed dial.
Is there anything else?
These guys could have been businessmen, successful, and did something totally different and had a different life. They chose the drug trade instead.
We always believed the welcoming spirit was...
Yo, Vinny, I got the Jamaican baby.
We've ID'd Wally Muhammad's killer as a guy known on the street as the Jamaican.
Okay.
While reviewing our victim's recent calls, we discover a contact in the phone listed as Jamaica.
We now have a name.
Subscriber information on the same phone comes back to a person by the name of Kenroy Drummond.
Sounds like it's time to bust a move.
Israel.
We're thinking this has to be the Jamaican. We go to the address that's listed for that phone number in Northwest Atlanta and knock on the door.
Okay, so I'm Detective Vince Velasquez with APD Homicide. You are?
Jalissa Drummond.
The interesting thing is Jaleesa's got a Jamaican accent. We gotta be at the right place because we're looking for the Jamaican, so maybe that's her husband, her son, her brother.
Hey, is Kenroy Drummond around?
I'm his mother. What's this about?
Jalissa tells us that Kenroy Drummond is only 14 years old. So we're like, damn.
He's only 14 years old?
Yes.
This isn't making sense because when they did roll call, they identified a Jamaican as a man, not a young boy. We gotta figure this out right now.
Okay, Jalissa, so where was your son on December 27th?
We were out of town for the holidays.
She tells us he had nothing to do with anything involving a homicide. I mean, he's just a baby.
So a phone registered in your son's name is connected to our case.
Oh, so you're looking for Kenroy's father?
Okay. What's his name?
Deshaun. We haven't been together in a long time.
So we're thinking it's possible that maybe Deshaun just used his son's name to cloak his identity.
Where does Deshaun stay?
Running. After conversations with Jalissa, we went back to the office and entered Deshaun's name into the database. We found out that he had some prior arrests, but they were all misdemeanors. But that also meant we had a photo of him.
We printed out his booking photo and headed over to the Economy Lodge where Jalissa told us he lived. We spoke with the front desk clerk and actually showed him a picture of Deshaun.
He recognized him and said he no longer stayed there. However, he told us Deshaun works for a taxi company over on Flat Shoals Road. So at that point, we rushed over to the taxi cab company to see if we could find Deshaun Drummond. When we walk into this taxi company and we look into the break room, we see Deshaun. I'm like, there he is right there, eating lunch. I'm like, bingo, we got it. We're where we need to be right now.
We're with Homicide. We need to talk to you about a phone you've been using.
We get right to business with Deshaun. We ask him about the phone number registered to his 14-year-old son.
On my phone, that I just put in my son's name.
Immediately, I can hear his Jamaican accent. We might be face to face with the killer right now.
But me met my friend Barrett.
Okay, what's the friend's name?
One you just go by the name the Jamaican.
He says that he met the Jamaican while, driving his cab. They kicked it off pretty cool because they had similar lineage.
When was the last time you let him borrow your phone?
Back in December. Matter of fact, the 27th.
We finally tell Deshaun the reason we're there.
So we're working a murder that happened on that day, December 27th. A man named Wally Muhammad.
Yeah, he tell me saying he shot a man from Bowler Crest.
This is huge. This brother just gave up the tapes on somebody that's a friend of his. He confessed for the guy we've yet to meet and have yet to identify.
Tell me everything that Jamaican said, exactly.
He just said something about some money.
That's all I know.
Do you know if the Jamaican carries a gun?
Yeah, 357.
357? Now, isn't that the same caliber of bullet that we found in the Vic's pocket?
Yeah.
We're like, bam, that's it. We got 357 shell casings on our scene. All these pieces are coming together right now.
Okay, do you know where the Jamaican lives?
No, but Colleen might.
He doesn't know exactly where he is, but he does have the address for a girlfriend of Jamaican named Colleen.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, man.
We want to get to Colleen's house, the girlfriend, and who knows, maybe the Jamaican will be there. She actually lives at the corner of Flat Shoals and Boulder Crest, not far, like literally a stone's throw from our crime scene.
We don't know what we're gonna find.
You know, we could be walking right into the lion's den.
Yeah, you tell me saying shot a man from Boulder Crest.
We're hot on the trail of Wally Muhammad's killer, a man known as the Jamaican. We speak to a guy that's actually friends with the Jamaican, and he tells us the Jamaican told him he did the murder.
Okay, do you know where the Jamaican lives?
No, but Colleen might.
We get an address for where the Jamaican's girlfriend lives, so we're headed over there, but we don't know what to expect.
Quinn and I got to be careful because we may be walking into a dangerous situation. Shooters and killers many times hide out at their girlfriend's house.
Colleen?
Yeah?
We're detectives with APD.
We get right to business. Ask Colleen, do you know where the Jamaican is? Is he around? Is he inside? She's like, no, I haven't seen him in a long time.
Okay, so he's your boyfriend, right?
Was. Not anymore. He's not here. Y'all can come inside and check.
Where is he?
I don't know. For real.
Of course, you know, the million-dollar question all along has been, who is the Jamaican? We ask her that.
I don't know his real name.
In my mind, I'm like, yeah, right. Okay, you've been dating this guy for years and you don't know his name, but we play along with it.
You know, Jamaica stopped by here.
She tells us on the day of the murder, the Jamaican actually showed up unannounced at her house.
He said he lost a gun and wanted my help finding it.
Murder weapon.
Right. Without question, that's our 357 missing handgun from the crime scene back on Boulder Crest.
Where?
In the woods.
What Colleen is saying is that he dropped this murder weapon running to her house after he killed our victim.
Did you find it?
No.
She actually went into the woods with him and spent an hour looking for the gun. They couldn't find it.
Did he tell you anything else about the murder?
No.
She says eventually a friend of the Jamaicans, a guy named Cyrus Hughley, showed up and picked him up, and she hadn't seen him since.
Thank you.
Now we got Colleen expanding our roll call. We gotta go find Cyrus Hughley and see if he tells us the truth. We finally get a bead on our guy, Cyrus Hughley. He agrees to come in and give a formal statement, so we're delighted.
What can you tell us about the dude that you picked up from Colleen's crib?
You mean Dredd?
On the day of the murder, our guy Cyrus says he gave a lift, an actual ride to a guy he knows is Dredd.
Guess he from Jamaica.
Dredd has gotta be Jamaican. It's gotta be the same person.
Where'd you take him?
I only took him to the fast food joint.
Okay. He tell you about the murder?
Murder? Hell no.
Said the Jamaican didn't say a word about it. He was cool as a cucumber.
See, I haven't seen him for a while until a few days ago when I was chilling with my friend KB.
He said the Jamaican knocked on the door. When KB opened the door, the Jamaican produces a handgun and robs him right there.
Can you have KB give us a call?
I sure can do that.
Thank you for your time, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Great day.
Now 5 minutes later, my phone rings.
Velasquez.
And it's KB. He's calling me to talk about this robbery that he was the victim of from the Jamaican.
So what happened?
Dude put a gun in my face and stole $800 in cash and a gold necklace from me.
You tell the cops?
Nah, man.
KB doesn't want to file a police report even with us. I mean, he's just gonna keep it ruthless, just like people do in the street.
Okay. How can we get in touch with you?
You can come find me.
KB is calling from a borrowed cell phone, so he doesn't even have a number to give us for contact purposes.
Come on.
And he said he drives an old Cadillac and always hangs around Moreland and Flat Shoals. He'll be easy to find.
Out of nowhere, we get an anonymous tip that the Jamaican has another girlfriend that lives on Panola Road over in DeKalb County. Our next step was we looked back at the phone records when the Jamaican made phone calls on Deshaun's phone.
On the day of the murder, we found calls from a female by the name of Patricia Fox. She has an address in Lithonia, which is not far from Panola Road.
This seemed way too close to be a coincidence. We go out to Lithonia, who we think is the Jamaican's other girlfriend. Clearly, she's a little older.
Tricia,
Yes.
we want to talk to you about your boyfriend, the Jamaican.
She says, you must be looking for my daughter, Melissa. She was dating a Jamaican guy. So now we know we're in the right spot.
I didn't approve of the relationship.
We'd love to talk to your daughter.
Melissa?
Just so happens she was home, so we asked, can we speak to her?
What's your boyfriend's name?
Nathaniel Payne, and we aren't together anymore.
This former girlfriend, Melissa, just unlocked our investigation. We now know the Jamaican is Nathaniel Payne.
Describe him.
He's like 5'9", in his early 40s.
When did you last see him?
Not since the middle of January. Look, I really don't know where he is. I would tell you.
Here's my card. Call me if you see him.
We think we have some good information. We got Nathaniel Payne. So we leave Melissa at her house. We head back to the office.
On hold with INS. You get anything?
On this guy in the database.
We sent a request to INS to check in their records that may show anything they have on a Jamaican coming to our country.
Yeah.
There's no records for Nathaniel Payne.
Okay, thanks.
We're back to where we were when we started with just a nickname of the Jamaican.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Vinny, he played her.
We're thinking Nathaniel Payne may be just a name that he gave Melissa. Drug dealers lie all the time. Nathaniel Payne may just be another alias that he's going by.
Search the database for Dredd.
You know, Dredd, if you type in Dredd in any Metropolitan Police Department's database, you're gonna get hundreds of hits. People who have dreadlocks or dread-style hair usually go by that nickname.
Damn.
Okay. Try cross-referencing with Southeast Atlanta.
That's when we make an incredible discovery.
Oh, yo, we got a hit, baby.
I don't believe this. This is happening again?
Describe him.
He's like 5'9", in his early 40s.
We finally have a name for Wally Muhammad's killer. After nearly 2 months into our investigation, we've identified the person known as a Jamaican as being Nathaniel Payne.
There's nothing on this guy in the database.
We've been searching this name endlessly, you know, working, trying to figure it out. It may not even be him.
Search the database for Dredd.
Yo, we got a hit, baby.
I see the initials KB. It's a robbery, but I remember KB didn't report the robbery.
Yo, did KB lie to us?
Not technically.
When I look at the date, it's a whole new robbery. The Jamaican, AKA Dredd, robbed KB for a second time.
So it happened again?
Yeah, but this time he filed a report.
Okay, so he knocked over the same guy twice in a matter of days.
This Joker is doing things that are uncharacteristic of people in the city, you know, after they do a murder. He's burning bridges as he goes. He may be packing bags to leave town. We gotta act fast.
That was 12 hours ago.
Yeah.
It just happened. It's fresh.
KB said he hangs out where?
Moreland and Flat Shoals.
The Jamaican is still here, and we need to go see KB because he may know where the Jamaican is.
That's right.
We roll over to Flat Shoals in Moreland. We see an old beat-up, crappy Cadillac, and it's KB sitting right there.
Hey, KB. We'll holler at you. Come on.
All right, so what happened last night? This girl I know, Tina, called me last night. Wanted me to come to this place up in Kirkwood.
He's known Tina for a while. So, you know, he's not thinking anything of it. He shows up over in Kirkwood, knocks on the door, and there's Dredd again with a gun in his hand and robs him of his money again.
And got me good, man. Robbed me just like last time.
This sounds like a setup, and that's exactly what KB felt. He couldn't believe that Dredd has targeted him twice already. So he's mad.
I had to call the cops on him. What's the address where this happened? 90 Rogers Street.
All right, yeah, we got to do.
Thank you.
We're still in real time as far as our hunt down for the Jamaican known as Nathaniel Payne. We're hoping he's still there. I'm driving up to the residence, and me and Vince are looking at a female right on the property of 90 Rogers Street. She's at the mailbox, and she's not concentrating on our business. She's concentrating on us.
I think we have a lookout.
We know.
Vince is gonna follow behind this female. So I run around to the back.
Excuse me, miss?
Just to make sure if the Jamaican's there, he didn't run out the back door.
Hold up a second, let me talk to you. Where you going?
Something in my gut told me this guy's probably inside the house, and she's trying to figure out what to do.
Watch yourself, Vinny.
I said, hold up a second. Can you hear me? Stop!
She wouldn't turn around.
I got my partner on my radio. I can hear if anything goes south.
Hey!
When she got to the door, that's when she turned around to see exactly where I was. And the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I knew something wasn't right. And as the door opens up, not 2 feet inside the doorway, do I see a man just frozen, staring at me. And at that moment, I knew that was the Jamaican.
Let me see her.
He immediately turned around and started running.
Stop!
Against all training, against everything that I know I should not do. I ran into that house.
Let me see your hands!
Can't let him go. I pulled my gun out, and I needed 2 hands on this thing. Because if I had to unload and reload with another clip, I was ready to go.
I'm at the back door. I don't hear anything.
Stop! Don't move! Let me see your hands!
My gun is punched out, and I'm screaming commands at this guy to show me his hands. I cannot see his right hand.
Let me see your hands! If I don't see your hands!
Don't move! Don't move! All hell broke loose, and I just hear all this screaming.
Last chance. Let me see those hands.
So now I'm face to face with this killer who, in my mind, is armed, and he is going to shoot me and kill me. Never felt that.
Let me see your hands.
My focus was on his right hand, and I could see it moving. And all of this is happening in a split second.
Last chance.
We tracked down Wali Muhammad's killer,
Stop.
Nathaniel Payne.
Let me see your hands.
When he took off running, I knew I couldn't let him go. This guy has killed one person at least, has robbed the same guy twice, and who knows what other damage he's done.
If I don't see your hands.
But now, I'm in a life or death situation. This is like slow motion.
Let me see your hands.
And I'm thinking I'm gonna get shot or shoot somebody because I certainly don't want to die, and I don't want to take a life. He knew at that moment I was about to shoot him, and I was.
Please don't shoot, boss. On the ground. Get on the ground. Nice and easy.
Had he not pulled that hand out, we may not have a case here today.
Vinny, over here.
But thank God he showed all 10 fingers, and he allowed me to handcuff him safely. And true to form, he had a 9mm tucked in his waistband.
You got it?
Yeah.
There's one in the chamber, Vinny.
He was probably going to take the chance of shooting a government official. And he just changed his mind. Whether it was God or just good sense, I'm glad he made the right decision.
What's your name? Daniel Lindell Payne.
Confirmation that this indeed is our homicide suspect, also known as the Jamaican.
It's now to have a sit down. We're hoping this guy's going to talk to us. Me and my partner know he's doing the interview alone.
So, you agreed to waive your right to counsel?
Yes.
He wants to talk to me, and without hesitation, I start to ask him questions about the Wali Muhammad homicide.
I shot him. I admit it. Me have nothing to hide.
Okay, walk me through it.
It all started because money was missing from the house. They thought I was stealing, and they were going to kill me. And it was all going down before the end of the year.
And now on December 27th, Wali Muhammad shows up at the trap house. He's already on high alert. He's always carrying his piece. He's ready because that's the tool of the trade if you're a drug dealer.
I was scared. I thought he was out to get me. So Wally walks in and says he wants my gun.
What gun?
The .357 I bought from Wally.
There was a controversy about the gun that he actually purchased from the victim that he didn't finish paying for it. So then it became heated. And that's supported by the witness, Eugene, who's in the driveway, who hears shouting.
I told him, it's mine. I'm not giving it to him.
Our victim posturing, according to Nathaniel Payne, that he was going for a gun. So he reacted. He pulled out his own weapon and shot the victim first.
He was going to kill me. That's why I shot him.
How many times did you pull the trigger?
I don't know. Me was scared. It was self-defense.
Now, Nathaniel, I appreciate you telling me what happened, but I want you to know, Wally didn't have a gun.
Nathaniel Payne says that he saw our victim reaching under his shirt as if he's pulling a gun out. But when we recall back when we processed the crime scene, our victim didn't have a gun.
Nathaniel Payne killed our victim, Wally Muhammad. I mean, that's not even in dispute. The rest is up to a jury.
Let's get you to booking. Come on.
Thank you. You treated me with respect and honor.
He says, you know, I've never really had a conversation like I just did with any police officer ever in my entire life. And you seem like a nice guy. And I said, okay, well, thank you. But why are you telling me this?
I'm glad I didn't kill you at the house.
This is a man basically telling me that he was going to murder me, and that now that he knows who I am, he would have felt bad about it.
Thanks for not going for your gun. Come on.
The most bizarre conversation I've ever had in my entire police career.
Nathaniel Payne is charged with the murder of Wally Muhammad.
Nathaniel Payne was taken to the DeKalb County Jail and fingerprinted. We ran his prints and found out there's a match in the national database for a warrant for murder out of Cleveland, Ohio. We found out that this case involved a man shot to death in 2001 in the city of Cleveland. The suspect in that case was a Jamaican man named Calvin Morrison.
Cleveland Homicide sent us a picture of Calvin Morrison, and sure enough, it was Nathaniel Payne. It's clear this guy's got many aliases, so who knows what his real name is.
In 2005, Nathaniel Payne goes on trial in Fulton County for the murder of our victim, Wally Muhammad. This trial goes on for over a week, and when the jury comes back with a verdict, it's not guilty. We know for a fact that Nathaniel Payne pulled the trigger and killed our victim, Wally Muhammad, but his self-defense.
In Duluth, Georgia, a terrifying crime unfolds.
We gotta go in that mall and the lady just got shot.
She was shot and then dumped out just like garbage.
A persistent detective.
So what do we got here? I'm very stubborn. I feel like every case can be solved.
Must unravel a mysterious murder.
I seen the whole thing go down.
The path to justice.
Do you know anyone who could have done this?
All signs are pointing to an angry ex-lover.
Takes the investigation.
Oh my God. I don't know who he is, but this is the guy who committed the murder.
Down many wrong turns.
Find any shell casings?
No.
And dead ends.
If you don't stop, then you don't fail.
Before finally leading.
Your DNA ended up in that car.
It's like 1,000,000,000 to 1 he's not the killer.
To the most shocking ending of all.
You're saying that's not you?
That is definitely not me.
He said his brother did it. This is insane.
We're on Pleasant Hill Road in Duluth, Georgia. It's about 15 minutes north of the city of Atlanta.
Duluth has a small town charm mixed with big city vibes. The city is actually in Gwinnett County. Not far from here is the Gwinnett Place Mall. It's mostly vacant now, but once upon a time, it was the leading mall in the area.
In the summer of 2008, it was the scene of a crime that rocked the community.
But I know one.
We gotta go in that mall and the lady just got shot.
Where at it? Gwinnett Place Mall.
Where the bus stations are.
Did you see where the person is that did it?
Yeah, he was in a car, but he pulled off.
When Gwinnett County PD arrived, they found this victim in a desolate parking lot. They wasn't quite sure exactly what was going on, but her breathing was labored. They would soon find out that this victim had a huge gunshot wound to her chest.
Medical personnel arrive on scene and transport the victim to the hospital.
It was Friday evening. I had worked a full day shift. I was pretty much changed, ready, relaxing at the house, and my phone rang.
What's up?
Then they notified me, hey, you're up, somebody's been murdered. There was a single gunshot wound to a victim, and they were deceased at the hospital and required my response at the scene.
I'll be there soon.
My wife tells me, I guess I'll see you in a couple days, because that's generally what happens.
It can be challenging for a family. My wife was actually an Atlanta police sergeant, so she understood what I was going through.
I've always had the path that I wanted to become a law enforcement officer. I know it sounds cheesy, everybody says it, but I wanted to actually make a difference in society. The tenacity that you have to have for homicide is key, and I don't quit. I feel like that's the best asset that I have. Every minute counts on these scenes. You got to get out there, you got to get to witnesses, you got to get to evidence.
Detective, so what do we got here?
The victim was a black female. She was shot once.
There was a single gunshot wound to the victim's upper left chest. However, there was no exit wound. And that's why there was not a lot of blood on scene.
She had no ID on her when we found her.
No wallet, no purse, and there's nothing else around the scene.
Suspect fled in a beige or golden colored car.
Okay. Did we find any shell casings?
No.
Why are there no shell casings? Two possibilities. It's a revolver or the shell casing got stuck inside the car. It's with the vehicle.
Doesn't look like there's much here. Check the area for surveillance cameras.
There's not a major crime scene to process at this point, because it's just a parking lot. And looking in the parking lot, I saw nothing. To be honest with you, it's kind of dejecting. And so my next question is, what happened?
It's so important in this game of homicide or any police work is to interview your witnesses quickly.
What can you tell me?
I was at the bus stop.
We actually have a key witness who was a bus driver.
I love bus drivers. My old man was a bus driver. They see everything.
She was parked probably maybe 50 feet or so. So she had a pretty close vantage point.
I seen the whole thing go down.
She observed a male approach this four-door gold car parked in the parking spot. Get into the passenger side. He was in the vehicle, what she described, for a few minutes.
What happened next?
He got out of the car, and then he walked around to the driver's side.
The male yelled some expletive words towards her. She then saw him fire a single shot into the vehicle.
That shows malice. Who knows why, but it wasn't a simple accident that happened.
She stated that male then pulled the victim out of the vehicle, entered the driver's seat, and slowly drove away.
It was a gold car, 4 doors.
Her testimony regarding what she saw was corroborated by other witnesses on scene. However, her statement was the clearest picture of what occurred.
Can you describe the gunman?
It was a black guy.
Her description of him was vague, but she did provide a description that he had a white shirt with green over top.
It was a distinct t-shirt with green and white on it. It was so profound that it caught the eye of this witness.
The bus driver's story leads to a possible motive in the murder. He's got to appreciate the fact that this killer was actually sitting in the passenger side front of the car of the victim. I mean, you got to consider, is this some kind of domestic situation?
Hey, I didn't find any cameras.
Nothing, huh?
Nothing. Okay, thank you.
He's got the clock ticking. Detective Cruz has to work this homicide as quickly as possible.
At this point, I realize my victim is the key to figuring out what happened. My next course of action is to reach out to our county operator and say, hey, look, I need this person put on the system as missing.
Our Vic is a black female.
I provided them with the victim's description. And I said, if anybody calls in this evening from any location, wake me up and give me a call. Then I went home. I think I go to sleep maybe 2:15. I felt like I didn't even close my eyes, but I hear the phone ring.
Hello?
We have a match.
And it's the county operator. They say, hey, look, we've got a report of a missing person. They provided the name of the missing person as Janai Coleman.
She was driving a gold 4-door sedan.
It was a gold car, 4 doors.
Who reported her missing?
Her sister.
Okay, can I have the address?
Based off the description for the missing person report, I believed it was a very good possibility that this was my victim.
Okay, thanks.
Detective Cruz has a monumental task at hand right now. He's got to speak to a potential family member of his victim who reported someone missing. Detective Cruz and another investigator meet with Janai Coleman's sister.
Thank you for meeting with us.
Since Detective Cruz doesn't know for sure if Janai is his victim, he doesn't tell the sister about the homicide.
I introduce myself and I say, hey, look, you know, we heard you want to file a missing person report.
Can you tell me what happened?
Janai took her daughter to school.
She generally waited for her to pick her up, which was right in the area where the murder occurred.
Calls to her phone keep going to voicemail.
Detective Cruz is on the right track, but then he notices something that pushes him over the edge.
My eyes are scanning, looking around the house, which I think I do it everywhere I go, and I saw a picture on the refrigerator.
It's not like her to do this.
I remember looking at the refrigerator, and we had obtained a photograph of the victim at the hospital, and that was sent to me. And I looked at the picture on the refrigerator, and I'm realizing this is my victim.
I have some questions.
Now it's time to figure out what's really going on here.
She had no ID on her when we found her.
Detective Damian Cruz is working the puzzling murder of a woman shot outside of a mall in Gwinnett County, Georgia.
All right, doesn't look like there's anything here. Check the area for surveillance cameras.
Detective Cruz knows the killer fled in the victim's car, but he's got no physical evidence at the crime scene. Plus, he doesn't know the victim's identity.
We have a match.
He catches a break when a woman reports her sister, Janai Coleman, is missing.
Can you tell me what happened?
At Janai's sister's house, Detective Cruz makes an incredible discovery.
Looked at the picture on the refrigerator, and I'm like, I believe that's her.
I have some questions.
He's got to get as much information out of that family as he can before he breaks that news, because 9 out of 10 times, once a detective does that, they shut down.
I tried to get the information pertaining to the vehicle so we could at least put that on the system.
Do you know Janai's car tag number by any chance?
Yes.
Because I knew that the vehicle was key to this case, I told the other detective that was with me, hey, put this on the system real quick.
Excuse me. So can you tell me about Janai?
She's a saint.
She was a school teacher, she was very religious, she was a loving mother, and she even served the armed forces.
That's a victim you just want to run for. While you love all your victims, this victim, it appears to just had a pure soul.
I want to show you something.
I said, look, there was an incident tonight. We didn't know who Janai was. But I believe, you know, she was the victim in this case that we have now, and that's the reason I'm here.
Is this female in the photo your sister?
We had a photograph from the hospital. She immediately identified her.
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Absolutely.
The trauma and the emotion that overwhelms those family members is incredible. It's tangible. You can feel it in the room.
Now, do you know anyone who could have done this?
No.
She was very adamant, no. She didn't have, you know, promiscuous boyfriend. She didn't have an angry boyfriend. She wasn't involved in any criminal activities.
Everyone loved her. This doesn't make any sense.
I feel frustrated that I can't give the family answers or closure at that point in time. And so knowing that, I knew the vehicle was even more important because that was our scene.
We found the car. Where? Forest Park. Police spotted around 11 p.m.
I'm looking at a window of 2 hours after my murder happened. An officer was running that tag in Forest Park, which is approximately 45, 50 minutes south of Gwinnett County.
Okay, we need to go now. Thank you for your time.
I gave her my business card and I said, look, I am so sorry for your loss, but we gotta go. I'm following up on this case. The car was abandoned in like a little strip mall. It was just parked unassumingly in a parking lot.
Detective Cruz then has the victim's car towed back to the police department to process for evidence.
We put it directly into our crime scene base, secure, and then the crime scene investigators start doing their thing. I'm very excited. I mean, anything could be in that vehicle, and every little detail of a clue could be something. She does fingerprinting for swabs, looking for possible DNA.
Did you find any shell casings?
No. It was clean. The insides were spotless. It was pristine.
Look at this.
What you got?
Detective Damian Cruz's crime scene tech locates a cigarette butt behind the driver's seat.
Did your victim smoke?
I don't know.
The cigarette butt, I believed initially, was huge because that vehicle did not look like it was a smoker's car.
Let me call her sister and ask.
I said, hey, look, does Janai smoke? And her sister was like, absolutely not. And I said, is anybody allowed to smoke in their car? Like, absolutely not.
Without question, that cigarette butt could belong to the killer of Detective Cruz's victim, Janai Coleman.
I'm gonna send this to the lab for testing, but it's gonna be a little while before we hear back.
So in 2008, it could take several months to just determine if there is DNA on the cigarette butt.
Great. Let me know as soon as you hear something.
I think my optimism is what drives me. There's gonna be something around the corner that'll break the case. So I keep looking.
We met with Detective Cruz to learn how he moved this investigation forward.
Now you have this car that you know belongs to your victim. It was taken in a homicide. Man, it's like waking up on Christmas morning, opening up your presents.
We were able to process it. Let me show you real quick. We've actually got the vehicle here. That's our crime scene bay analysis. It was the Dodge Stratus. I got fingerprints inside the vehicle, on the rearview mirror, on the A-pillar, on top of the hood on the driver's side.
Those are creamy.
Nice.
I like
That's a good one right there.
Yeah, we found out that it didn't match the victim or anybody else that had been in her vehicle. I was very, very confident that this was my suspect's prints. Oh, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can upload it to APHIS, the national database, and maybe get a hit. No, of course not, right? That'd be too easy. So they weren't able to upload it, so I needed a known, identifiable suspect to do comparative analysis.
So the print is good, but you're still back to square one trying to ID your suspect.
Correct.
What do you do next?
So now that I've established a suspect, at least a rough description, I start scavenging the area, and I start pulling every piece of available video, either inside or outside of those businesses. I collected video from gas stations, convenience stores, restaurants, where the murder occurred and where the vehicle was dumped. And then I began the process of starting to just go through hours and hours and hours of video, looking for ultimately a needle in a haystack. And I'm looking for a male, a black male wearing white with green over top.
Detective Cruz gets the video from a gas station right across the street where Janai Coleman was killed.
I'm watching clips and I'm watching people come in and out of the store all day.
Less than an hour before the murder occurs, a man enters the gas station and it really catches Detective Cruz's eye.
Whoa, who are you?
He's wearing a three-quarter shirt. It's the kind of baseball shirt we had in Little League, where the sleeves are green and the top part is white.
That was his aha moment.
White and green. Like a green overtop?
Yeah, it was green.
It matches up with the witness at the bus station said.
So many times Quinn and I have had so many cases where we're looking at the video and we see it. It just sounds like a beacon from heaven coming down, shining and letting us know, I'm here, this is me.
It looks like Detective Cruz just found Janai's killer.
You find any shell casings?
The Janai Coleman homicide investigation is starting to take off.
Look at this.
Detective Cruz recovers a vehicle and gets a couple pieces of evidence, including a cigarette butt that may belong to the suspect.
Whoa, who are you?
After going through hours of surveillance video, he spots a guy that grabs his attention.
White and green.
I'm feeling pretty confident that this could be the gentleman who committed the murder.
The video is great color, but at the same time, it's a little muddled. But it's the kind of video that me and Vince used to always say, his mama will know who he is.
He buys a beer. You can hear his interaction with the clerk at the counter. He even kind of gets disgruntled a little bit when he buys the beer and says, hey, well, I don't need a brown bag.
They don't have brown paper bags in bars.
And the clerk says, look, buddy, that's the rules. I got to put it in a bag if you're going to walk out of here. He walks out. And he comes back in. He buys a pack of cigarettes. My first thing in my brain is like, what cigarettes is he ordering?
Light long. Yeah.
You can't really hear the name, brand of the cigarettes, but you do hear him say light longs. So that's basically a longer version of a normal-sized cigarette.
There's like a ton of brands of cigarettes, and I don't know which specific brand he's smoking.
While Detective Cruz can't hear or distinguish what brand cigarette this potential suspect is purchasing, he's going where he needs to be on this case. It's this guy till it's not this guy.
Then he leaves. And then he never comes back in. I start going through more video, because now I'm going through video like crazy.
Come on, man.
Detective Cruz screens videos from a business where Janai's car was dumped.
They're small AVI files, and I'm just going click, and it goes for 5 seconds, and I gotta click on the next one. I watch, I think it was like 400 and something clips. I just see like a blurb, like a blip. And I was like, was that something? And let me rewind it. And it was, I want to say, a second.
This is a video that if you blink too fast, you may miss it.
And I freeze it and I pause it.
Oh my God. Oh, wait.
He knows right then, that's the same man that was in the convenience store.
I've confirmed he was at both locations at the time of the murder and where the car was dumped. So now I've got him on both ends, right? So I felt great. I mean, I knew that's who we were looking for. I just didn't know who he was.
Suddenly, the crime lab calls with an update on the cigarette butt in Janai's car.
Detective Cruz.
And I got a notification that, yes, there was DNA, and it was determined to be male DNA.
This killer has left a signature card in this victim's car in the form of his cigarette butt.
That's huge. That's a moment you live for in a homicide investigation. That's a hallelujah moment in your cubicle when you get that kind of information.
We need to do further testing.
They had to do DNA typing on it, so that had to be sent away.
We'll let you know once it's done.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know how long it would take, and so as the DNA was taking a little bit of time, I felt that the best next course of action was to release the video.
The police department does a press release to the media. They've shared still photos of the suspect from the convenience store video.
Detective Cruz believed the news coverage would help generate leads to identify the killer, but nothing came of it. A few months later, the DNA testing was finally completed. They uploaded the sample to CODIS, a DNA database with convicted felons.
Detective Cruz crossed his fingers and hoping that a match would be made to somebody in the system. He was pretty much stuck until he can get something from that DNA.
A month goes by, then several months go by. Now he's into a year. He still hasn't brought this case in. That's the frustration that you gotta sign up for when you become a homicide detective. I mean, we feel his pain.
I know this is the individual who committed the crime, so I'm optimistic that it will get solved, but I'm frustrated that there's no progress at that point where we kind of hit a stalemate in the case. So August 6th, 2009, I was in my office working at my desk on a separate case, and my phone rang.
Detective Cruz.
It was the CODIS administrator through the GBI.
Okay, what do you got for me?
A match in the Janai Coleman homicide.
The case that just was cold for the year just got initially fired back up.
Hey, we got a hit.
What case?
Janai Coleman.
And I told him, he's like, in disbelief, you know, and excitement at the same time.
All right, what did he tell me?
The suspect's name is Donald Smith.
Detective Cruz has the name of the killer. It's time to track him down and bring him in.
Detective Cruz.
Detective Damian Cruz just received game-changing news in the Janai Coleman homicide case.
Hey, we got a hit.
DNA from a cigarette butt found in her car has been matched to a known offender.
The suspect's name is Donald Smith.
Detective Cruz is thinking either Donald is the killer, or he better have a damn good explanation as to why he was in Janai's car.
What other details can you tell me?
We start scrambling. Who is this person? Where do they live? How do we find them? What do they look like? The investigation is like re-triggered, because now you know the evidence you have, but now you have somebody to match up to it. So it's exciting. One of the first things I do is I get a photograph of him. The height matches, the weight matches, the complexion, the age. All these things start matching up with the surveillance video shows, and now I'm thinking this is good.
Donald's a convicted felon, so his prints will be on file. I think we need to visit the lab.
I was able to ascertain that fingerprints were available for Donald Smith. I did request and got those records sent to our crime scene unit to compare to the fingerprints we had in the vehicle. I got negative ident from crime scene. I was told I need palm prints, which to me means you need better quality or different prints. So the next thing I start doing is a complete workup on him.
Detective Cruz wasn't just gonna go out and arrest this guy. He had to take a deep dive into Donald Smith's background first.
Donald's criminal past showed a history of violence, and that lined up with the profile of the killer.
Detective Cruz pulled the suspect's work records. He found a cell number that Donald used on a job application.
He subpoenaed those phone records, and cell tower data showed the phone was active in the area and active at the murder scene and the car dump location.
All signs pointed to Donald Smith as being the killer, but Detective Cruz wanted to be doubly sure that he had the right guy.
When I had established that Donald had a work history at a specific store, I met with the employees.
Did you guys work with this gentleman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And his brother worked here too sometimes.
His brother goes by the name of Ronald.
So, Ronald and Donald?
Yeah, they're actually twins.
They're identical twins.
Twins?
So right now, Detective Cruz has to consider, is the right killer Donald, or could it possibly be his identical twin brother, Ronald?
Which brother is this?
That's Donald.
That's Donald.
They said they were positive it was Donald.
Are you sure?
100%, yeah, that's Donald.
Okay. When I asked those follow-up questions like, why would you say him? And they said, well, there was an incident with him at the store where he threatened somebody. They said that generally Donald had a more aggressive nature and Ronald was more calm and timid. At that point in time, we believe Donald Smith is our guy.
Thank you very much. You've been a big help.
It's time for Detective Cruz to get an arrest warrant for Donald Smith.
A fugitive team quickly tracks him down and takes him into custody.
We bring him back to our headquarters for an interview. We get him an interview. He's like, what is this about? I didn't do anything. And then we explained to him what the charge would be. And he said, I'll talk to you.
This is Detective Cruz's opportunity to get the truth.
I show him a picture of the car, right? I show him the victim's car.
What kind of car am I looking at here?
It's a Dodge Stratus.
No, I haven't.
Never been in this car.
Never.
Detective Cruz shows Donald a photo of Janai Coleman. He's looking for a reaction.
He seemed very calm, cool, intelligent, and collective.
I have never seen this woman before.
Okay.
Ever. I don't know her.
Most people don't walk in there and say, hey, I did this. They need to be presented with the overwhelming facts and evidence against them to then realize, okay, they kind of drop their shoulders and say, you got me, and then they talk.
He's got to show them that I'm not making this up. This is a video. This is a video of what I believe to be you.
Was it with this guy right here?
Yeah. You're saying that's not you?
That is definitely not me. I don't have a shirt like that. I can't even see the face on the person, but that's not me.
Okay, so that's not you.
No, definitely not me.
So I showed him the video, I showed him the victim's car, and I showed him the victim. And he denies knowledge of all three. Your DNA ended up in that car.
That's interesting, because my DNA couldn't have been in that car because I've never been in that car.
He's still denying it, and then he drops a bombshell.
DNA is split between 10 twins. It's indistinguishable. They share DNA, identical twins.
And I'm like, yeah, I know that. But at that point in time, I also know, is he trying to distract me to make me think his brother did it?
The conclusion I'm jumping to what you're saying, if it's somebody shared DNA, then it will have to be either you or your brother.
Obviously.
Is it possible he's not BSing them? Is the real killer Ronald and not Donald?
This is totally crazy.
I would like you to explain to me why I'm here.
Donald Smith is arrested for the murder of Janai Coleman.
I have never seen this woman before. Ever. Let him know her.
He completely denies any involvement in her homicide.
Your DNA ended up in that car.
In a surprising twist, Donald offers his twin brother, Ronald, as the prime suspect.
DNA is split between 10 twins. It's indistinguishable. They share DNA, identical twins.
I've had a lot of interviews, interrogations with suspects in homicides, and I never in my career had an identical twin getting passed off as a suspect. It turns out, Ronald Smith has a minor criminal record.
I showed it to several people, and they identified you.
I don't know who could have identified that as me because it's not me.
This is, I guess, an application. If you want to look at it real quick for me. We also confront him with the fact that the cell phone number he used for his application was active at the murder scene and also where it was.
I didn't have a phone then. It wasn't working then. That was my brother's phone number.
Oh, well, that's my brother's phone. I used it as a reference, but it's my brother's phone.
But your brother never actually gave you his phone so you can just borrow it?
No.
Okay.
Which again, he's pointing everything to his brother rather than saying it's himself.
If it wasn't me, then it had to be him. And like I said just a minute ago, that's now it's just becoming really, really disheartening.
This is different. You have an identical twin with identical DNA who's thrown this huge curve in his whole investigation.
He says, let me take a break. We say, will you do a polygraph test? He's like, absolutely, I'll go do a polygraph test.
But what's interesting is he gets in there and fails miserably, according to the actual analyst administering the exam.
So he put him back in the room and he says, well, I wasn't being truthful. He's like, I do recognize the person in the video. He's like, but it's not me. It's my brother.
Donald even encourages the detectives, go show this video to my family. They're gonna also say, it's my brother Ronald.
So I have two teams of detectives take the surveillance video, 2 separate locations simultaneously, and while we're sitting there talking to them, they go meet with the family.
Detective Cruz wasn't ready to clear Donald just yet, but he started to consider Ronald could actually be the killer.
He had Donald fingerprinted and sent the prints out to be compared to the ones found in Janai's car.
Meanwhile, detectives met with Donald's parents and another sibling. They asked them to review the surveillance video.
They all said it was Ronald on the tape. When a family member picks you out, it just doesn't get any better than that.
To top it off, Detective Cruz learned the prints from the crime scene were not a match from Donald.
Donald may be telling the truth after all. At this point, Detective Cruz wanted to get a hold of Ronald Smith ASAP. He secured a warrant and quickly brought him in.
We bring him to headquarters so we can do an interview, and then we've got to execute 2 search warrants, one for his fingerprints and one for his DNA.
Even though he knew they were identical twins, until you see them in your face, damn, these brothers look just alike.
Detective Cruz takes Ronald to the interview and hopes he'll speak with him.
And while I'm showing him the mountain of evidence, you can see his demeanor starts to change.
I need you.
Detective Cruz learns that the fingerprint comparison is back from the vehicle that was stolen after the murder.
What you got?
We got him.
I look at her, she's like, it's a dead match. Fingerprints that were on file for Ronald did indeed match the recovered ones from the vehicle. So at that point in time in the investigation, we go back into the interview room and we tell him, hey, you're no longer free to leave.
All right, Ron. Things have changed, okay? Based on what's gone on, okay? The fingerprints have come back, okay? And the fingerprints are a match. So for us to discuss the matters of the fingerprints and the other things, I have to advise you to go in.
You're being arrested and charged, so we read a Miranda and said, look, do you want to tell us your side of the story?
Do you want to talk to me about some things? All right.
When at that point ahead, he kind of just said, look, I need a minute. I just need a minute to get my head around this. He requested to make a phone call, so we let him make a phone call.
Hey, a whole lot has happened.
So we're listening to him, and then he's talking, he's kind of upset, and I bring him a picture of the victim.
I just wanted to, I don't know if you knew this woman, but this is the woman, okay? And her name was Janai.
And I say, look, here's who she was. Her name was Janai Coleman. She was a mother, she was religious, she was a good, loving woman. You know, I told him, look, the family's not mad at you, they just want to know why. And so I slide in the photo, and I leave the room. And when I did, he looks at the photo, and he apologizes to the photo. And when he does that, I'm like, that's it. Like, he's gonna talk to us.
What's your brother's name, sir?
Ronald. Ronald.
The Janai Coleman homicide takes an unbelievable turn when suspect Donald Smith denies involvement. And he points the finger at his identical twin brother, Ronald.
If it wasn't me, then it had to be him.
Detective Cruz doesn't know what to think, but he quickly scoops up Ronald Smith and brings him in for an interview.
We got him.
It turns out Ronald's fingerprints are a direct match to the ones found in Janai's car. And he appears to be right on the brink of actually confessing.
I know he's starting to feel remorse.
That's why I want to say something. I really do.
He's like, look, man, I just want to do this. I want to go smoke, and then I want to come back. And then I'll talk. They go outside onto the back porch, they smoke. And when he comes back in, sits in the interview room, and Shreppo hands me a cigarette butt. And as soon as I look at him, like, this is it. This is the exact same cigarette butt we recovered.
Where's this pack of cigarettes?
And right there, I read on the side of the box, Bronson Light Longs. And now I know where the long came from. Bronson Light Longs, okay? That's Bronson 100s. And so I'm like, this is it.
Detective Cruz, while he has all this other overwhelming physical evidence, he wants the confession for the family. I mean, yeah, you want it for trial, but you want the family to understand the why.
He comes back in, he sits down, and the first words he says to us, I remember, I'll never forget it.
Guilty.
Inside, you're excited, but you're trying not to show it on your face.
I don't know why. It was an accident. A straight accident.
He sits in and goes, look, I just wanted the car. He rides the bus route frequently, and so he had a couple beers at the convenience store, and he decided he didn't want to wait on the bus. And she was sitting there, unsuspecting, in her vehicle. She was on her laptop, which means she probably wasn't paying attention. And so it was pretty much just a hijacking of her motor vehicle to take it as a mode of transportation.
Ronald goes on to explain that he's trying to take this woman's car, and Janai Coleman is trying to counsel this brother into not doing it.
When she communicated with him and tried to plead with him, and his words stall, I think he got frustrated. And that's why he exited the passenger side and went to the driver's side. He says, the gun just goes off, it's a hair trigger.
The gun went off. She said, he shot me.
Ronald Smith makes up this story about he didn't mean to do it, it was an accident. He exactly did what he intended to do.
The witnesses said they heard the suspect yell a couple superlative words, choice words, and then firing the gun. And that doesn't coincide with his statement that he walked around and then the gun accidentally went off.
I did not mean to shoot the gun. It was a hair trigger.
I mean, being a homicide detective, you know what they're saying is all a bunch of BS, but you let them keep talking.
I didn't drag her out of the car. It wasn't like that.
Well, this is a classic case, what we call in the business, a suspect giving a self-serving story.
He was minimizing his involvement just to make himself feel better for what he did, but it doesn't negate what they did. This murder was just senseless.
So what kind of gun did you use?
357.
He told me it was a 357 revolver, which would explain why there was no shell casing on scene and there was no shell casing in the vehicle.
That matches up with the type of caliber of bullet that was pulled out of this victim. No one would know that except the police and the person who actually possessed that weapon.
Where's the gun now? I ditched it. And I just took off after that.
He drove it to Forest Park. He admitted to vanning the vehicle. The only thing he didn't admit to is intentionally shooting her. So at that point in time, we're positive. It was him. He did it. And so based on that, we immediately told him, look, you're formally charged. And then we took him to the county jail.
Ronald's twin brother, Donald, is completely cleared of any wrongdoing. He's released the very same day.
Ronald Smith is charged with felony murder, hijacking of a motor vehicle, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony.
In October of 2012, the case goes to trial. After everything Ronald told police, his defense team claims it was really Donald who committed the murder.
The jury doesn't buy it. Ronald Smith is found guilty and sentenced to life plus 20 years.
This case was crazy, man. This is the stuff that we have bad dreams about.
It was a total stranger-on-stranger crime. She did nothing to put herself in a bad situation. It's senseless.
I know you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this case, but what did it really mean to you?
I mean, it made me feel not so just successful, but happy for the family. Happy that the hard work and effort materialized into finding the person who did it and ultimately getting a conviction.
All the work you put into this case, all the T's you crossed, all the I's you dotted.
So what do we got here?
Like, you left no stone unturned.
We found the car.
Damien, you didn't just have a case file. You put together a movie production.
Whoa, who are you?
I must have went through 4 barrels of popcorn going through your file and watching all the video.
We got a hit.
You got DNA, you got fingerprints, phone records, video, confession. I mean,
Testing. Tillgång förgrundskamningen.